This is a quick demo video showing how easy it is to construct a form using React Hook Form. As always, you could find rest of the React Hook Form videos and recommended references along with GitHub repository of the demo project in video description and inside the first comment of this video. First of all, I want to clarify this. The name of the package or library is React Hook Form, not React Hook Forms or React Form Hook. In short, you can also refer it as RHF. So here is the corresponding npm package React Hook Form. And you could see the corresponding official documentation on this website reacthookform.com. At the time of recording this course, this is the latest version. Now let's install the package using this installation command here. In order to view the terminal, you can use this shortcut Ctrl then backtick. Now let's install the package from a new terminal like this. Now, the main reason of this video is to inspire you and give you a few of the many reasons why you should use React Hook Form to build forms in React applications, especially the easiness in constructing a React form with the library. Now, in previous video, we have discussed the normal way of creating forms in React with this simple form here. It contains only two input controls for customer name and mobile, which is created inside this React component food delivery form. So these are the corresponding input elements for the fields, and the value of them is assigned from the React state variable values here. It contains two properties to store the respective field values. And this is how we have been updating the corresponding state property through this handle input change method. Inside that, we have updated the state property corresponding to the input control from which this event is triggered. The same onChange input handler will be assigned to all text boxes. In order to identify from which input control this event is triggered, we have assigned the name of the corresponding property from the state object values as the name attribute of the control. And then inside the onChange event handler, we destructured name and value from the event target like this. So that's how this onChange event is able to update the corresponding state property when user update a value inside a text box. In previous video, we have clarified all of this to your satisfaction. Now when it comes to validation, we have a separate state variable errors. In order to validate the form, we have a separate function validate form data. The validation error message will be stored into the corresponding state variable errors like this. And finally, from this function, we have returned a boolean value indicating whether the form as a whole is valid or not. We call this function inside the form submit event handler here. If the form as a whole is valid, we log data from the form fields. Otherwise, we will show this error message form is invalid. And also you could see that we have prevented the default behavior of the form when we submit the form. So that's how we have been creating a typical form in React. Now let's look how easy it is to create forms with React Hook Form. First of all, I will duplicate the particular React component like this, copy the file, then paste it inside the same folder src. Let's rename this duplicate file as typical form. Let's copy this. We have to rename the corresponding React component also. Let's keep this component as it is so that we can compare it later with the React Hook Form. Now, inside this original component, let's make the required changes for constructing the same form using React Hook Form. Now, the detailed explanation of fundamentals of methods or hooks that we are about to use in this component will be discussed from next video onwards. First of all, we have to invoke this primary hook from the library useForm. And it returns an object having few properties and methods to work with the form. For now, I will just destructure the method register. When we create forms with React Hook Form, we don't need state variables to store field values or the state variable errors to store the error messages. And for the same reason, we don't have to implement the handle input change event like this. And we don't need a separate function like this to validate the form fields. For now, let me comment whatever we have inside this onSubmit event. Now into each of these input controls, we don't have to explicitly pass the name attribute, and we don't need to pass these attributes value or on change anymore. The library will take care of all of them. We just need to call this method register. Inside that we can pass the name of the input control. It would be customer name. You will get the auto completion here if you pass the form field type to this use form hook. So that will be this food delivery form type. So we can pass that like this. Now you can see these properties in auto suggestion. We don't need this error type anymore. So here we go, customer name. Now this register method returns the necessary attributes for this input control in order to work it properly. So we just need to destructure those return properties into this input control here, so that it becomes the attribute of this input control. For now, just watch me building this form with React hook form. Don't get bothered about using methods or hooks that you haven't seen before. All of them will be discussed in detail from next video onwards. Now let's do the same for this mobile text box. Let me copy paste this. Here we have to call the method with this name mobile. With that being done, React hook form will take care of updating values of these fields. Now let's talk about form submission. For that we have to destructure another method from use form, which is handle submit. Here we have the on submit event. We just need to pass our submit event handler as a callback to this handle submit. So here we go, handle submit, and we'll pass our function as a callback to this handle submit here. That's it. Now we don't have to deal with the default submit event parameter inside this method. It will be handled inside this handle submit function here. Now the value from the form fields could be received with this function parameter for data. Now let's uncomment the previously existing statements. Now from now onwards, we don't have to prevent the default behavior of the form submission. It will be taken care inside this handle submit here. So I will remove this. Here we have called the previously existed validate function to validate the form fields. We don't have to do that anymore because the past on submit callback will only be called when the form as a whole is valid. We can talk about that in a bit. For now, let's print the form data like this. The value of the form could be accessed from this parameter form data like this. This form data will be having the type that we have passed here, food delivery form type. So let's specify the type of the parameter. Now let's get rid of this unwanted import statement. Now back to our form. Let's open the developer console. Let's populate the form. Submit the form. Boom. That's it. Here we have the form data from the corresponding fields. Now let me also show you how validation is done inside React hook form. We just need to specify the validation rule as a second parameter to this register method. In order to make this field as required, we just need to set this property, boolean property required, as true. Or you can pass the error message saying customer name is required. Similarly, you could provide the validation for this mobile number also. Mobile number is required. Now if you submit the form without providing any of the fields, the form data will not be posted. See? Now if you want to see the error object having error messages, we can pass a second callback to this handle submit. So here we go, on error. It's a function with single parameter, errors. Now you could just print the error like this, validation errors. Let's check whether it is getting printed or not. See, here we have the validation errors. So that's how easy it is to construct a form with React hook form library. You don't have to create React state objects for storing field values or error messages. Values will be inside the input fields. Moreover, it will be stored inside the library. Since we don't need separate objects for values or errors, we don't have to handle onChange even for all input fields just to update their value when user changes values inside them. And also, changing values inside the state will cause a re-rendering. So whenever user update character by character inside the form fields, it causes re-rendering over and over again. It won't happen with React hook form. More about them will be discussed in upcoming lectures. And with React hook form, already expected behaviors of a form like preventing default behavior of the submit event or posting form data only when form as a whole is valid is already done inside the library itself. Now let's check how the library does all of these great things with less code, and let's learn how we can make use of the library to build better performant forms. There are a lot of advantages for React hook form when compared with typical forms. Each of them will be discussed at various stages of the app development. See you in the next video, where we'll be starting from scratch with the fundamentals of React hook form.